All right, everybody, bear with me here. This is Cfmoto 675 SS, man. And today we're going to do like a little quick discussion and tutorial on the 2025 675 Cfmoto SS. And so far, let's go down to the general aspects of the TFT display. Okay, so breaking it down for you. We have our front tire pressure. It's at 32 psi, and the Celsius, it hasn't been ran on the temperature yet because the temperature hasn't registered yet. I just got finished running it, so it's been on for a while, but it'll register once you take it out on the road. After the tires get warm, it'll show you, close around the temperature where it should be at. Same thing with the rear. It's 37 psi right now. Currently, the Celsius is not being ran on it. Finishing up, if your tire pressures are ever low, the numbers I think will show up in red and the actual tires. This is a display to tell you when to make sure that your tires are filled, or you may have a puncture in there from the TPMS sensors, which stands for tire pressure monitoring system. You want to keep that in mind as a precursor checkup before you go ahead and you pull off on the road. You want to be safe. Anything, you have to be wary of your tire pressures, because if something happens, it could adversely affect the performance of the bike as well as your safety, and you don't want to be in a situation where you're out on the road somewhere hurt or had to end up laying down the bike because the bike, threw you off. All right, so now moving on. This is the trip odometer. This will tell you how many miles you've done so far, or whatever, trip miles or whatever. This is the voltage on the actual TFT. You got your standard check engine light, ABS, low beam, high beam. When you hit the high beam function will, it'll light up. This will let you know if you're low on oil or just before you start it up, little stuff like that. Traction control system. Traction control lets you know that your traction control is on. The QS system, traction control, you could change it by hitting the actual traction control button, which is at the top of your handlebar right here. Let me show y'all. Let me kind of pull it back some, because it has something holding down the this button right here. That's your traction control button right there. And to change it, you'll see I'm gonna hit the button once. It went to traction control 1. That means you want the least amount of traction control. I usually leave mine on 2. It's a little restrictive, but not that restrictive in performance. It just makes sure that you don't slip and slide all over the place and become unbalanced and may have to end up laying down the bike. Moving on, you have your temperature gauge right here. It'll show how many degrees. It's on there, 69, and I believe about at 97, 98 for me, the fans will come on. And as you're riding, it'll cool it off. Bikes generally do get hot, and it only has maybe like one fan in the front for most bikes. Your fuel gauge. You got your fuel gauge on the bottom. Most bikes don't have a low fuel gauge warning when your bike is low, which is a good. Thank you, Cfmoto, for helping us out with that. And when it gets low, it'll tell you how many miles you have left on riding. And when you start to get to the E or get very low, it'll go yellow. And in my situation, I almost ran it dry. I don't know, for whatever reason, it went almost dry. Sometimes it might turn red, but it'll give you a fair warning before it does that. So you might want to, keep on the up and up. Then you have your RPM gauge. This lovely baby is lovely. Okay, so when you go and you getting up there in the rev range, after about 4,000 RPMs, while you're holding on the throttle when you're shifting up for the quick shift, that'll allow it to quick shift. I think any lower than that, it will lock you out. At least I know with mine, it locks me out, so I can't quick shift low on low RPMs. But after about 4,000, maybe a little bit higher, it'll let you quick shift. And quick shift is at the bottom. So when you're doing your little thing, you decide to take off or whatever, quick shift, if you don't feel like shifting, it helps out a lot with the clutch if you don't want to use the clutch. RPMs, they'll go up to about a little bit after 10, about halfway in between the 10 and the 12. You might want to shift a little bit before then to stay in that RPM range, because that's where your red line is, your fuel cut, more or less. So it'll cut fuel, you mean ding, 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 ding. And basically you can't rev no faster than that until you shift it to another gear. That's when you know you're getting the highest performance out there. So just before you get to the red, you want to shift to keep you on your RPMs, okay? All right, so getting more in detail, let's hit the back button. You'll get into the information. You got your basics, your trip, odometer. Right now we're showing where you're at, voltage, range, 67 miles. You have 68 temperature, and this is basically showing you a different type of display you want to have while you're riding out. Aside from the RPMs, your trips is, you know, range. Your trip 31 miles an hour, roughly 47 miles to the gallon, you know, little stuff like that or whatever. If you want to set it or reset it, you could reset it by hitting the set button for both of them. I'm resetting mine. Malfunction that you see is 0. That's just in case if you have any check engine lights, it'll display right here. I have 190 more miles till maintenance, which is good because I barely ride my bike. So that's good. Traction control, you could see what the display is right here, and it'll show the display if it's on traction control 1, traction control 2. You could turn it to off. That means it'll be, you know, you'll be more into the lean. But me, you know, you'll be a little bit of lean or, you know, less lean as possible. The that's the emergency safety signals, which you could leave them on or off. Activate on quick shifter. If you want a quick shift alert, it'll let you know when the quick shift. That's when you see the arrows up and down on your RPM gauge at like 6,500, letting you know, hey, look, quick shift. You could quick shift up. You know, it's available. So it'll let you know when you could quick shift or whatever. You could set it also. Now I choose not to set mine. I like my stuff kind of factory, so it's no big deal. Go back out of that. Now, where it says set to connect to phone, you could connect to your phone, you know, the original way. Just make sure you leave the Bluetooth settings on your phone, and it'll connect to your phone. For some odd reason, I don't know why Cfmoto has done this, but the speakers needed to be a little bit louder when they connect to this this bike. I know for the 450s, it was decently, you know, loud enough for people to hear you, but not loud enough where you could just hear it. That's if you're leaning over, you could pretty much hear it. It's like kind of like a whisper. Oh, let me get back into that. It kind of cut me out there. Let's see here. All right, so now music. If you want to set it to music, I have 2 helmets. I bought one for my son, and I have one for myself. You can connect your phone. I have a Moto Stylus G, so that's how you know it's connected to my phone. It's not connected yet because I don't allow it to listen to calls. I got a Bluetooth on my helmet, and if you're ever connecting, it'll say Cfmoto, and this is your actual lead on your bike, where it'll tell it, you know, what you have there. You could also clear any Bluetooth, any phones that you may have connected when you want to, you know, disconnect everything from it. You could have your theme on there. You got 2 different themes. You got the regular one where you want to do time attack and, you know, kilometers per hour or whatever like that. You want to see your best. This is for when you're on the track. That's when you want to use theme 2. Theme 1 is when you're on the street and you're basically traveling out back and forth. Okay, let's get a close-up of that there. That's close enough as far as I could get it. Well, hold on. All right, now let's go back. Device connection. All right, we already went through that. Auto brightness. You could adjust the brightness to on or off, where it'll be on auto, where if it get too bright, you know, at nighttime, it'll kind of dim itself out. The speed, you could change it from speedometer to kilometers per hour. The temperature, it could go from Celsius to Fahrenheit. I chose Celsius. Not Fahrenheit. Pressure, the PSI, you could go to kilopascals, kPa, or bar. I think at one point when you buy the bike, it'll say bar, but you could change it back. The language, of course, you know, you could change the settings for your language. They'll also display it. You know, you got America, China, you know, France, Romania, and I choose English because that's what it is. All right, so then you got system updates. They never really said too much about that, but I'll get back into that. But another thing, if you ever do have an issue with your bike and auto connect activity on it. I will say this, sometimes it may or may not connect to the app or when the systems are down, but what you can do is delete the app from your phone. This is what I did when I started having issues and my phone wouldn't connect to the bike to tell me the information of, you know, how fast I was going, where my bike is, where the location, because these bikes have tracking on it, which is a good thing. So that way it's like a theft deterrent as well. It'll show where it last pinged at, you know, who last had it, you know, what's going on with it, how fast is it moving, and where it currently is. And if it doesn't activate that, what I could tell you, what worked for me is you have to delete the app after you delete the info from the bike. Delete the info from the bike first and then delete the actual app to make sure it gets a complete reset, like if you're first getting to know the bike as far as the phone, to connect to the app and to connect to your phone. Okay? And do the integration process all over by introducing the phone to your bike and the bike to the phone for them to, you know, join back up, so that way the app could reset itself, so that way you get an accurate reading on the bike. Okay, so that's it for the TFT display. 675 Moto SS, man. And once again, thank you for viewing. If you like what you see, give me a like, a subscribe, a thumbs up. Or if you got any other further questions, hey, I'm here. I'm still waiting on my part to come in, which should be coming in soon. This is what I heard from the word. And we'll be checking back in with you shortly. All right, bike family. Love y'all. Stay safe. Ride safe out there. Make sure you get that riding gear and stay protected at all times, because nobody's responsible for your safety but you. All right? Peace.